Hi guys, welcome back to my craft room. I'm Whitney Lucas with Crafty Thoughts and Whatnots, and today we're going to do a Christmas paw print wreath. I'd shown a couple people the preliminary of what I'd started for a gift for some friends a couple weeks ago, or maybe like a week or two ago, and everybody really wanted to see. Everyone really liked it, so I thought today I would show you guys from start to finish. This one's kind of a little bit involved, so we'll see how it goes. And I always forget to do this on my Facebook Lives. I gotta get my tablet up and running so I can see you guys' comments. And let's see. Hi Donna. Good morning to you too. Glad to be with you. Glad you're here with me. Let me pull this up real quick. The paw print is really simple in construction. It just might take a little bit of time, and then I add a couple of little extra steps just for a little added quality. I want to make sure things all match and certain things aren't seen. So what I do is, thank you for the heart. Thank you. That was nice. So what I'm doing here is I'm pulling up your comments just so I can take a peek up while I work and watch, and then while I work and watch to see your comments. And then we'll get this all started right there. Okay, guys. Good morning, Sandra. Thanks for joining me. All right, guys. So, paw print wreath. Now, this is the same construction as those mouse wreaths I was making, just on a larger scale. Let me pull my camera down here so you guys can see a better view of my workspace. Okay, so what we have here is, let me get rid of these so I can see what you see. There we go. Perfect. What we have here is a 14-inch grapevine wreath. So I got one of these. Now, the person that I saw make this before was Nick Creticos from Nick's Seasonal Decor. He made a very cute paw print wreath. Same premise with the grapevines. But he used a bigger wreath, I believe. So I wanted this one to be a little bit smaller because I felt with this base being maybe an 18-inch or 24-inch, the little, what do you call these things for the dogs and the cats? We call them toe beans. The cute little pids or pads for the toes, the 4 of them, kind of, to me, made it too big. So I got a 14-inch wreath here, and then these are little 6-inch grapevine wreaths. So the premise is to take all 4 of these, and you're going to wire them together to get the idea of a paw print. So you can see there's 2 here, and then you'll add 2 more, and so then here you get one big paw print. So the wiring isn't what, I mean, it might take a little bit of time if you're not used to it. I've already made one. I'm sure you could probably do the same thing with the smaller ones. So these are 6-inch, and you can get 4 little 3-inch little wreaths here, and do the same thing and do like a mini paw print wreath. But these are the size I was using for those mouse wreaths. So here was the mouse wreath head, and then I got 2 of the 3-inch wreaths, grapevine wreaths for the ears. So you just put 1 here and 1 here. So it's the exact same premise, except for we're going to do 4 of them on a larger scale. And I got all these wreaths at Michael's, Hobby Lobby, all the places. I bought these at Michael's. But I also, just because I had a 20% off your total purchase. Normally, grapevine wreaths don't really go on sale when they have all of their seasonal sales and all those that fun stuff they do. So, I have got maybe a few of them when I had the coupon and when the sale was going on at Michael's. So I just grabbed all that while I was there. And let's see. Hi Helen, thanks. I'm glad that you're joining me too. And hi Connie, thank you. I had a great Thanksgiving. I hope you did too. Now it's just time to get back into Christmas, and that's all starting. So here we have a little bit of greenery. I'm going to add greenery around the sign. I'm sure you guys saw on Facebook I posted the picture of the one I'd already completed that we'd given as a gift to some friends. I'm going to do a little bit different with this one. I have another sign. These signs are exactly the same. Now someone had told me there's a way I can switch this around to see. I'd read something online that said you can do the little magic wand, but maybe it's because I'm in landscape mode. That way, because I know this is backwards when you guys are seeing it. It says Merry Christmas. It's got 3 little paw prints on it, so this can apply to any animal lover right now. cats, dogs, or anything with paws and little pids. So I got this one. I got two of these actually, because the one we'd already given to our friends from Woodland Crew on their Etsy shop, woodlandcrew.etsy.com. I can post a link to their Facebook page, and then a link to their Etsy also after the Facebook Live's done. If you're watching this on YouTube, the playback, I'll put this in the description of on YouTube, so you guys can take a look at all the stuff they have. Really good quality signs. You see how thick that is? That's a really good thickness for a sign, and it's lightweight. This is not a heavy piece of wood by any means. So this won't weigh down your wreaths if you're making these for clients or customers and you need to ship them. This is very lightweight. This isn't going to add very much to your shipping box if you're sending this anywhere. And I had to ship it out of state to give it to our friends, and it didn't make a difference. So you're worried about adding too much weight to your piece. These are very lightweight signs. I actually just made an order after Thanksgiving from Woodland Crew. A few more signs. There's going to be some really funny ones coming up. You guys are going to see them. I'm going to make some wreaths out of. Depends on how sarcastic your sense of humor is. You guys will probably like it. I know I love it. My family will love them. So you guys will see that when I get those in from them. I'll do like a little unboxing and show you all my signs. But I'm going to be making a good amount of little things from these really great signs I have from them. So that was this second one that I got. We're going to use this second one today on this wreath. And it looks like it's going to kind of dwarf the wreath right now, but that's only because we don't have the toe beans on yet. As soon as we put the little pids on, it won't be too small. There's also another website I found, or not website, another Etsy shop I found called Country Settings. And I got this one from them. Now this is much smaller, but this would be more like a year-round. Like everyone's an animal lover, or this would be a really good gift for your vet. This also, Christmas wreath, would be a good gift for your veterinarian if you guys are close and you give things to vets. This one just says love is a four-legged word, and it's got the little paw prints on that there. So this would be more of a everyday wreath if you want to put that up in your home or give that to someone who's a huge animal lover, or maybe someone who runs a rescue, anything like that. You could also donate these to rescues and they can auction them off, stuff like that. But this was off of Country Settings shop on Etsy, so that's Country Settings. I'll put this one on Facebook as well, and this one I'm not using today, but it's obviously much smaller than this one here, but it's also a completely different feel. I mean, this one is much smaller. It's also lightweight wood. This was hand painted by them, and then there's the back of it. It's just a lightweight little piece of wood. It's really cute, and it would add just a little bit to anything. This is 3.5, almost like 6.5 inches wide and 3.5 inches tall, whereas this Christmas one is a much larger piece. This one is a 5 by 10 inch. So this one's just a little bit more subtle, but this would be for more, you know, every day, the rest of the year kind of thing. That one I'll do it at a later date, or if I want to experiment with something else with these little paw print guys. But when is there not a good time of year to have something up that's in regards to your pets? Everybody's an animal lover, and some of us are a little bit more crazy than others. I'm very guilty of doing some crazy things for my girls. So this is the guy we're going to add to it. What I want to do is, these are little leftover greenery bushes I have. Obviously, that's a Hobby Lobby tag. But this had, let me tell you, this is what it looked like. Oh, this is what it looked like originally. So I got these at Hobby Lobby, and I was using a lot of these other pieces and parts here for those mouse wreaths that I was making, little small mouse wreaths. And I didn't use these larger pieces off of it, because obviously they're too big and they're a little spindly. But these are perfect for a rustic look. I want to go for a rustic Christmas look. So these are two pieces I had left over with those little spindly guys on them. Different type of pine. I'm going to nestle those inside the wreath. I have one sprig of a ficus pick leaf sprig stem. This was also Hobby Lobby. Every other week their floral goes on half off. So it's regularly $1.99. Get this for 99 cents. So these two leftovers, and I'm going to put some ficus all around. This is also a pick from Hobby Lobby, but I'm going to probably use the whole thing. Got all this, all their Christmas stuff right now is about 50% off. So this was $2.50. I got it for 40% off. I guess I got it before it went 50. I got it for $1.49. So this has got a few little berries in it. We'll put those somewhere. And then these little sprigs here and here. So we're going to just put all that stuff in there. Got some berry sticks. Got these at Hobby Lobby also. We're going to cut those apart, put them in. And then here's little accents. I got these at Michael's. These are like in the little ornament area. Now this has a tag on it here, but you can see that's obviously a paw print. And then I got a bone. And the bone is what I used on the other wreath. I'm going to use it on this one as well because I don't want to go paw print overboard. Only because the wreath is a paw print. There's 3 paw prints on here. And I'm going to be using some paw print ribbon. So I'm not going to necessarily use this. But this would be something you could put on a wreath if you don't have a sign. There's also these natural looking ones that I got. They got kind of like a little dark burnt edge. You can buy these at Michael's as well. Now this was also another Christmas ornament thing. But I'm pretty sure I've seen paw prints year-round in that wooden aisle, the aisle where the unfinished woods and stuff is, all those little pieces and plaques and boxes. There's little tiny things and ornaments in there that are something to do with the paw print. I've seen them before only because I've made magnets for friends and stuff out of paw prints. So these are just something I picked up at Michael's this year, recently within the last month, because all their Christmas ornament stuff is out. So we're going to use the bone again today, and I'm going to glue that to the top corner of the sign. But these are also really good options if you don't have signs or you can't buy them or they're a little bit too expensive for your budget. These were regular price, $1. This was $1.49. This was $2.49. I got this for 89 cents, and I got this for $1.49. So instead of $2.50, I got $1 off of it. So really, really inexpensive. Whereas I think this was like $12 or $13, and I can't remember. I think this was also $10, $11, which they were doing a 30% off Black Friday sale on Woodland Crew. You may want to take a peek at their website, see if they're still doing that. But even without that, the quality and the price is definitely worth it. It makes your pieces look awesome. So just trust me. If you go to this Etsy shop, you won't be disappointed. But these are also more affordable options if you don't want to put more of a high dollar price on a wreath. But this guy right here, we're going to use this one in addition to today. We'll put those off to the side. And then I got little extra pieces that I've shown you guys before, which I'm probably going to do today, where I cut off extra pieces on the from a garland, like an old garland that I have. And I use those as filler to kind of hide little holes or to hide maybe the backs of the any issues you may have on the backs of a bow is got too many holes in it, or there's something showing in the back of the wreath, or there's just a big light source coming through you don't like. Now these wreaths have this little metal thing on them, and I hate leaving them on there. I've seen a lot of people, they just pull there we go. They just pull the tag off, but then there's this little metal hook thing that they always keep the tag on. These are Ashland brand wreaths from Michael's. So they have the little metal hooks. And I think Hobby Lobby on the bigger wreaths uses the same thing. So I just use my pliers and I kind of just spread it apart. It opens real easy. It's not hard to get off. So I'll just take that and chuck that off. So we got that wreath ready to go. I'm going to start by wiring this first, because after I'm done wiring it, I paint the wire brown, just because I couldn't find brown wire to save my life. Honestly, I went to the 3 major stores here in Las Vegas. I went to the 3 major big craft stores. So there's Hobby Lobby, Michael's, and Joann's. And I could not find brown wire. So I have a thicker gauge black wire that I got. It was at Michael's, part of their Halloween. It was in all their Halloween wreaths. Like this year they started selling stuff that had already been painted. So then that was real popular, spray painting wreaths. So Michael's and the places started selling them already spray painted. So there were orange and black ones this year for Halloween. So when Halloween was clearanced out, I picked up these guys of wire. So it was, it just says Halloween on it. See here, it doesn't actually tell you what gauge the wire is, and I really like this wire. So I would just have to try to gauge it to something I already have. I know it's thicker than this silver stuff that I normally use. And I think, okay, this silver stuff is 270 feet of paddle wire. This is 26 gauge, and this is thicker, so this has to be like 22 gauge. And I have some green wire over here that's hiding from me. Let me see what this is. See, this is 22 gauge wire. If you guys are like really seriously wanting to know what kind of gauge it is, because I sort of do too. Once I run out of this stuff, I'm going to be sad just because I like this thickness of wire. Okay, this is 22 gauge. And that other one was 26. So this has to be between 22 and 26 because this is a little bit thinner than this floral wire I have, but this green wire. So the silver wire is 22. I'm sorry, 26. It's the lower you go, the thicker the wire. So this has to be, if that one was 26 and then that one was 22, this has to be maybe 24, I'm going to guess, around 24. So anyways, I got this after Halloween clearance out. I ended up buying 2 of them for 80% off. So instead of paying $6 US, I got it for $1.19. So that's why I just bought what I could find. And I was like, well, it's black wire, but on a lot of different projects, you should be able to hide things a little bit better. On this one, it doesn't show as much just because we cover up most of the wire we're going to use to wire these together. I just didn't want, I didn't want it to be seen, and just in case it showed anywhere. So after I wire these together, you guys are going to see me paint it. I just get some acrylic paint and a little sponge out, and it goes really, really fast, and you don't even notice it. So what I do first is I wire the 4 little, we're going to wire the 4 little toe beans together that create the PIDs or whatever you guys, depending on your family or your background or your education, if you are an actual vet, call them toe beans. So all the little beans on the top of the PIDs of the toe, we're going to wire these together on each piece in the corners here and here. So we've got 4. They're going to go on the wreath like so. Let me move it this way so you see. So that's how they're going to go on this wreath. Let me see if I can move that a little bit more, down a little bit more for you guys. That's as far down as I can go. So let's see. So we've got the 4 toe beans here. There's the pad. So we're going to wire these together here and here. So I kind of like to lay it flat to see how I'm going to finish it. And then I'm going to wire these together first. So I just take a decent amount of wire. You see how thick these pieces are in between? Not really going to need that much. But for what you're going to do with it, it's not horrible to throw some of it away because you're going to need it to make sure you have enough to piece it all together. So 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to cut 3 pieces because we're tying these 3 together here. And then once we're done with that, I'm going to use 4 pieces to then secure it to the big wreath. So here, I'll show you guys here. So what I'm doing first is I got these 2 together that I want to put through. I'm going to take the wire and I'm going to just, through the front, I'm going to take it and put it through the middle of it. Now, you're going to have to work some things through because Grapevine's not exactly the easiest thing to try to put things through. So I just kind of, and then see, this is what happens to your wire because you really can't, you gotta kind of move it all around and find an empty space to work it through the middle. I don't like to just wrap it around the outsides. I want to wrap it through first. So then I got this piece of wire through. You guys can see here. I got it right through the middle. I'm going to hold these 2 together now. And again, it's easier to work on your surface flat, but so that I can show you guys what I'm doing. Then I'm going to take this guy here and feed it through this top piece here. So I don't know if you guys can see this right here. It only goes in the middle. You see, it starts here and it starts here. And so then now what I do from here is I take my left side, wrap it right, and my right side, wrap it left. So I'm wrapping them around this way, twist it around in the front, pull it tight, wrap it around in the back, and then twist them together down here. But here's where I want to get a good tight, twist on that. So let me just pull this as tight as I possibly can down here. And sometimes it's easier to hold one side with pliers because that side's a little short for me. So hold on. You pull this side with pliers and pull this side tight. And then just do some twisting. So here you guys can see I'm just twisting on the back with the extra pieces I had left over. And then that's what you kind of end up with. You see right there? Here, let me use some of that. That's what it looks like on the back. Okay, so I just keep twisting. If it gets a little hard for your hands, which sometimes it does for me, sometimes my fingernails get in the way, but hey, kind of a girl thing, so you adapt, right? And then I have these little extra pieces here. I've twisted it up to this point right here. So I twisted. It's about maybe 1 inch, and then I'll cut off from here up. So I use the part of the pliers and I cut from here up. I'm going to just chop that off right here into my trash can. So on the back of these, we've twisted them together. Here's the front, and you can see the black wire here, and that's why I paint it with the brown paint. So you can see the wire, but here on the back, I'm going to now take this guy with my pliers, and I'm going to twist it under. And what I try to do is I try to feed it through the wire we've already wrapped around here. So sometimes it's a little bit of a dance, but if you got your wires, and trust me, my fingernails aren't that long, and I've met some other people that got some way long fingernails, but even with nails this long, it's difficult to grab this wire and it's difficult to get it under. But basically I've curled it under with my pliers and then put it underneath. I put a curl in the top of it with the pliers. And then I've curled it underneath what we've already wrapped around. And then I'm going to grab the tip here, and I'm really sorry if you guys can't see it. I'm going to grab the end that we curled and pull it some more. So basically all I'm doing is basically just curling this wire around itself, and it'll naturally tighten. Now I don't know if you guys can take a look at that, if that focuses in. There is basically what the back of it looks like. And then I'll kind of touch it a little bit, just make sure there's no sharp edges. And then kind of put it on the surface, and I push it a little bit just to make it flat, because it's wire, it's going to bend. So I just push that down right there. And let's see. Hi, Andrea from Las Vegas. Hello, my fellow local. And Melissa from Weldon Spring, Missouri. How are you guys? Thanks for joining me. Appreciate you guys being here. So there's 2 down. We're going to put the 3rd one on here. I mean, you could do 2 and 2 if you'd like, and then just do the 4 together. I'm going to continue to hold these together. So here's the 2 we've already wired together. Place that, just set it down here. And then I'm going to try to peek and see where I need to place my wires so that I don't accidentally make... You don't want it to be straight, because if you're doing a straight line, it won't curl around the wreath when you put them on the wreath. So what you want to do is kind of try to hold them here and look at them how you want them. And since you guys saw that first one, I'm going to put these through the middle of both of these wreaths down here, just so I can get a good idea of where I need to keep the wire on them, to keep them in that small little curl. And see, this one's going to fight just a little bit. There we go. So now I've got those together right here. And do you see how, once you do that, I've already got a small curl. If I was just to put that straight on, it would be straight across. It'll bend a little bit when you put it on, but I just assume rather keep it the shape you want to keep it in. So now that I got those through the center of both of those, then it's just twist this one over left, twist this one over right, bring them around in the front, pull it a little tight, bring them around in the front, twist them around again in the back, and that way you're just wrapping wire around the outsides of both of those wreaths. And then pulling them tight to secure them. And pliers really come in handy, especially, now this is where it comes in handy also if you don't cut your wire long enough, which I didn't on this one. The other one was easier. This one I didn't pull the wire tight enough, I don't think. So here I'm just holding it, and I'm going to twist it. I'm going to twist the whole thing just to get a better twist on that wire. It'll also twist your piece tighter around here too once you start twisting more towards the base. It'll pull up that slack if you weren't able to get it. Okay, cut that off, and now I'm just going to twist it under. Or just twist it into the wreath. That way there's nothing sticking out. This is pretty good gauge wire, so like I said before, it's why I wanted to make sure I knew what gauge it was. It isn't going to break. If you use more, if you want it to be a more secure wrap, you could wrap it 3 or 4 times. You just need to cut a longer piece of wire. So here I'm going to place this back under here, and then take this, stick them down into the... I mean, we're just doing the same thing again, so if you're just now joining, you'll see I got the little, what I like to call toe beans of the paw print together. You're going to just push the wire in the middle of the sides just to get things kind of more secure. That's just my own preference. I feel that if you just wrap them around the outsides, there's a possibility that it could slip a little bit. So I just stuck them down into the middle of both of the wreaths, and then we're going to wrap them around each way, back and forth, around the outsides then. So pull tight, twist around. And then also I try to get the wire even. See, here's where I put them through, but then these are the pieces that are going around the top, so I want to try to get them as even with the original wrap as possible, just so that you're looking at one solid piece. Let me move this here. Hold on, guys. So you're looking at one piece of wire, not just a bunch of wire wrapped like that. That's just my own preference. If it doesn't matter, I mean, if it doesn't matter to you, then just keep wrapping and don't think about placement of the wire on the front. Because again, I'm going to paint this, like I said before, I'm going to paint it brown so it's not so visible with just regular acrylic paint. So, I mean, this paint, everyone knows that acrylic paint, this stuff here, is water soluble. So don't put this outside or use different kind of paint if you plan on putting it outside, just because it's not the end of the world if this gets wet. Then again, the wood sign I'm putting on here, that probably shouldn't get wet. It's wood, so this is more of an indoor. Most of the stuff I make is indoor. I make a few things for my outside wreath at my home, but it's mostly just, you know, artificial flowers, things like that that I don't mind getting wet, or things that I will buy less expensive supplies for, just in case it gets stolen. Just in case it gets stolen. Back when I had an apartment, I had a few wreaths stolen off my door. It's horrible, but it happens. Especially if it's a Christmas wreath. Who does that, really? But yeah, I've had that happen a couple times. So last but not least, wrap this guy, curl it, take the pliers and put a curl at the end of the wire. So I'll show you guys one more time. See that I put a curl in that wire? So it basically, now I'm going to grab it and I'm going to feed it down underneath. Oops, feed it underneath, feed it underneath. If you can grab it and wrap it around again, do that. Again, guys, sorry, I'm not going to be able to give you that much of a close view just because this is kind of in a little bit of a, there we go. So I was able to pull the wire back up out the bottom, and I'm going to curl it again. I only wrapped it once. This one I didn't wrap at all. It just kind of rolled it underneath. So here I'll just wrap it again. Roll it underneath. Feel for some sharp edges. There aren't any, so push those down. So here we've wired these together with 3 wires. Here's where we're going to place it on our wreath. And here's also where you need to think of placement if you're using a sign, or depending on what you're planning on putting on your wreath. Since my sign is somewhat large for a 14-inch wreath, I want to kind of just face it towards me and see how I'm going to place it. Like the other one I made going to the left, I think this one I'm going to make going to the right. So I'm going to put this way, but I need to see there's a flatter piece here that I think the sign might stick to better. So just lay things out before you, if you absolutely want to make sure. I like to lay things out first, so I'll probably put the sign sort of right here. Or I put the sign here and I put the bow here. trying to figure out how I want to do this. Depends on how the person wants to hang the wreath. If you want to hang it so the sign is perfectly straight on, then the toe beans will be to the right. If you want to hang it with your sign a little diagonal, just depends on the layout of the wreath and how you want to make it. And then also, I've made wreaths, and I put them up on the wall. I've pictured them, and I've put them on the way I would do it. And then whoever purchases it, or the person that you give it as a gift, they hang it in a different direction because everybody's artistic or creative mind is different. So if they want to see the wreath hang this way or that way, that's fine. There's a lot of times that the signs, I don't like them. I don't put anything straight. Everything I have is always diagonally or off kilter or something like that. So we'll see. Oh, Connie, that's horrible. Hi, Vicky. Don't worry about being late. We're all here. We'll be here for a while. Trust me, because I only barely started. And then Connie had someone steal a wreath from her mother's grave. Wow. So it does get bad. I thought stealing a Christmas wreath would be bad, but yeah, that gets topped, huh? So that's unfortunate. That's horrible. So we are going to see. I thought I would do it. And see, I don't know. I'm changing my mind a lot. Hold on, I gotta turn my ceiling fan on. It's a little warm in here. I think I'm going to. I had this worked out. So this is a flatter piece here. Because see, this grapevine's got these big pieces here wrapped around to hold the wreath, the construction together. But this is a little bit flatter up here. It would be easier to put the sign on it. So here's where I need to make my decision on how I want this to hang. And where I want to place the bow. Because I'm going to do a little bit different with the bow. I'm going to use some of this red burlap. That'll be really pretty. And then, of course, the paw print ribbon. I'm going to use some of this black, white, and silver plaid, which is actually spring ribbon, but whatever. I got a couple of things here, and then the buffalo plaid with white snowflakes and some regular burlap with black ribbon, or black lace. I thought that was still all rustic, and with black, red, and white theme, more naturals. Still matches with this a lot. The Mary in this is like a lime green, but the amount of different colors of greenery we're going to place in here, it's not like the greens won't clash in my opinion. I don't believe we're going to have a problem with like the greens not looking good together. Hi Susan, thanks for joining me, and hi Vicky from Ohio. It's nice to see you guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it on like this, and then we're just going to have to, we'll just wing it just a little bit. I think I'll put the bow down here on this side, and then put greenery coming around this way, here and here. I'm not sure. So what I'll do is, now this is where we're going to need 4 pieces, and you kind of, if you lay it flat, that's good, but it's not going to have the depth you need. So you kind of need to pick these little wreaths up off the top and put them more towards the bottom, because like if you lay them on the table, this wreath is obviously is thicker, and these are thinner, so this is deeper, and then these are laying flat, so I kind of bring them up a little bit to the front, or the top edge of the wreath, if you could say. And Grapevine will kind of stick to itself if you've got enough of those little curly cues on it. It's almost like its own little natural Velcro. And don't be afraid to kind of move things around a little bit. I mean, if you know you really wrapped it with wire, then you don't really have to worry about it too much. So here's where we're just going to start. I'm going to do one end, and then I'm going to do the other, and then I'll do the 2 in between. Actually, never mind. I'm going to start in the middle, because if we put these too close to one side, we may have a bigger issue. So what I'll do is I'm going to leave it on my spool this time, just because I don't know how much I'm going to use to wrap it around on one side, and I don't want to cut it too short. So I'm just going to leave this on on the spool. So what I'll do is I'm going to take my end of my wire, and I'm going to feed it through the bottom, the largest part of the wreath here. So I'm just kind of working the wire right down the middle of the wreath. I'm going to pull it back through the back, and then push it up through the top little toe bean. And then I'm going to pull more of this through. So I have a good amount here on this side to wrap around, and I'm going to hold that on the back. And now what I'm going to do with this side is I'm going to trade hands. So I'm right-handed. I'm going to hold the piece that I wrapped around that has the end on it back here, because we're going to tie it off in the back. And then I'm going to use my paddle that I still have, or whatever your wire's attached to, and I'm just going to wrap it around here like this just a few times. Because again, this takes, and then tie it, kind of pull like a shoelace, like you're tying your shoes. I pull it a little tight, and I just keep wrapping it around here. And most wire comes on in some sort of little paddle. This is a little bit different that I've seen before. At least this is a floral wire. This is more craft wire. And then I'm wrapping this around. How many times was that? Maybe 3. This is now 4. I'm not sure. Okay, so now I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to cut off the wire here. And I'm going to take my 2 pieces, pull them a little bit tighter again. I see I got a good amount of pull on that one. And then just twist them together. Just like we did with the little small ones, we're doing for the large ones. So just twist it together. Here's not really like a method or anything of how long you want to leave your wire edges or your wire end. But I just cut off little pieces. And then... hold on, guys, gotta fix my pliers. I've had these pliers since I was a teenager, which is a long time ago, and I love them to death, so I always fix them. And then I'm just curling this down with my pliers, and then I'm gonna try to get them it underneath, and it worked out pretty good. Pull it back up, twist it again. That way, these aren't coming off. There's a good amount of wire wrapped around both wreaths, inside the middle and then through the outsides of both of them. You could probably even get away with only wiring on 2 of them instead of all 4. It's completely up to you how you want to attach the wire, or how many places you want to attach it. So here's where I've only attached 1. And then you can see that's a pretty decent size amount of wire, black wire that shows. And then here's the front. So you're going to see 1, 2, 3, and 4. Or you could just do 1 and 2. It's up to you. I'm going to do all 4 just because that's how I made it before, and it was very secure. I wasn't worried about it. In shipping, I was worried the box might, pull these off. But I'm going to put 4 of them on here, which is why I paint this with the acrylic paint when I'm done, because it really does make a difference just to paint that brown. It blends it in. You still see the wire, you still see the construction, just like on the natural little wreaths here. This is how they were made. You can see here they were made with brown wire, which I can't find. So I also have to say I didn't really look that hard online because I didn't want to wait for it to be shipped. But locally I could not find brown wire. So there's 1 down, and that's what we're working with on the front. And here's what it looks like on the back. So you have like a little tiny knot. And then again, if you want, like I said before, I cover up a lot of my mechanics and stuff on the back with leaves. We can do that too. And let's see, Vicki, this large wreath is a 14-inch, and these 4 little toe beans are 6-inch wreaths. You can get a bigger base, but I feel that the end piece is a little bit too big, especially if you're going to ship this to somebody. You would need a massive box. So the one I made before, it still fit in a 20 by 20 by 10 box, but I had to kind of put it in diagonally and prop it up because it did not fit flat. So I use a 14-inch base just because I think that once this piece is done, this is a 24-inch wreath right here. If you guys can kind of see here up on my door, that's a 24-inch evergreen wreath. I made that last night. So with these little toe beans on it, we got a 14-inch wreath here. This thing still has a pretty good presence. Now obviously this is a much fluffier, but even if I hold it up to in front of that, you guys can see how almost the same size it becomes when you add those other 4 wreaths to the outside of it. So I just use a 14-inch base. You can use an 18-inch base, but it's going to be big. And if you're going to keep it and you're not shipping it, or if you don't have any issues with paying for shipping, I know sometimes customers aren't going to be excited to pay $40 just to ship a wreath, but I've had issues with shipping, and sometimes it becomes my nemesis. So I use a 14-inch base just to keep things a little bit smaller. But trust me, by the time we're done, this thing's going to have a really good presence, and you're not going to notice that it's a 14-inch base, if that seems a little small for you. That's just how I think that. When I said earlier, I watched another Facebook live from Nick Criticos with Nick's Seasonal Decor, where he made a paw print wreath. Very, very cute. I believe he used a bigger base. I'd have to go back and check again, but I'm pretty sure he used a larger base for the wreath that I just don't want to make. I don't want to make mine that large. So here I'm just taking these and I'm going to wrap this around again. So here's where it's, since this is my second one, this is actually going a lot faster than the first one did. Now granted, I was sitting down and I had the TV on and I had music on, so there may have been a little bit of, you know, pause, watch something, watch whatever's on TV kind of thing. Let's see, hold on. This is going the same way. So what I need to do is twist it here, bring it back around. There we go. I pulled it through the same way, so I have them both coming from the same side, which doesn't really work out when you want to twist them. So I just kind of twisted one together, kind of like one came up this way, and I pulled it through like this. That way I didn't have to redo the whole entire thing. I didn't want to have to pull that off. Pull a little tight and just keep twisting. Helen, yes it is. It's a good size. It really does look great on any kind of door. And I have a pantry door in my kitchen that's a little bit, it's not your average normal standard size door. It's a little bit more narrow. And I placed the other one on my pantry door just to take a look and see what it was before I sent it out to our friends that I gifted it to. And it looked great. It looked good on the kitchen door. It looked awesome pretty much anywhere. I was very, very happy with it. So I think this will look good pretty much anywhere you want to place it. You're looking at a very cute wreath. Anybody who does anything or likes animals, again, it's universal depending on what you put on it. I know some of them are cat specific. You can find cat specific signs or dog specific signs and make that, you know, more tailored to whoever you're gifting it to. That's why basically this one is going to be dog specific just because I put a little bone on it. This little bone ornament here. I'm going to glue that to the corner like I did on the others. But you could keep just a strictly paw print theme, and then you won't have to, you'd have more universal. You can appeal to pretty much anybody at that point. But if you know you're making this for someone who's into cats or into dogs, in my case, I have both, or I had both. I just lost my kitty last July, so we're actually in a cat-free house, and it's very weird. It's the first Christmas without a cat, and it's sad because I miss her. But I had her for 17 years. She had a very long and full life. She's a very happy kitten, which I called her a kitten up until the end. I had her since she was 6 weeks old. I think it's 6. However old you can have them when you can take them from the mom. That's when I got my cat, my kitten. And this is the first year I've been without a cat. I used to have 2 cats and 2 dogs. So now we're just down to the 2 wiener dogs. And it's weird having the holidays without the cat. But I don't discriminate in my house. I love all animals. I even like I like mice. I like lizards, although I wouldn't do a lizard just because I'm not purchasing bugs to feed it. I love reptiles. I think they're cute. I like snakes. I like all that stuff, but I can't buy an animal to feed another animal. I had rats when I was younger as pets, those little fancy rats. They had cute little ears and cute little, I've had all kinds of pets. And yeah, I can't purchase something like that to feed to another animal, but I understand that's just how it goes. That's what they do. It's fine, but I'm not into it. I really like frogs too. But again, I pay someone to come to my house to make sure that bugs don't get in. I'm not going to then purchase bugs and bring them into my house to feed to the animal. So I'll just admire those at the shop or my friend's house. I have a friend that has a couple lizards. I've had friends in high school that had frogs. I'm good with that. I'll do the ones, you know, little decorative ones I'm fine with. I'm just not into... I just think it completely negates the fact that I pay a bug man to make sure bugs don't get in my house. And then I'm going to go to the pet store and buy bugs. Just can't do it. So cats, dogs. I've had gerbils and rats. Cats, dogs, and I had a Quaker parrot when I was younger at my mom's house. My mom has an African gray bird. Stuff like that. Your average normal stuff. My husband would like to get a pig. I told him we do that, then we can't buy bacon no more. So is he ready to give up bacon? I would like to have a raccoon. That's probably going to be a little bit of a weird one, because I know when I mentioned before how much I like snow, and then I got a lot of people saying, hey, trust us. The people from Missouri and Ohio. I have friends from Ohio and friends from Chicago that think I'm nuts, and they tell me that. They're like, yeah, you think that until you actually live in the snow, but... all those videos I see about raccoons, they're so cute. Yeah, I know they're vermin in other states, but you can get them domesticated, can't you? So anything with little feet and fuzzy. So I'm just all around, you could just say universal animal lover, right? So this paw print could go for just about anything that has PIDs. And of course, I got into reptiles and birds there too for a little bit, but it's all good, guys. It's all good. Alright, I'll leave that there. Once you got 4 of these on, you don't really need to put that. You don't have to keep wrapping it that much, just because you've already secured it 4 times total. So you don't really want to overkill. Plus, I've tightened these pretty tight. It's not going anywhere for sure. So then we wrap this back up. Pull that through. So here, let me just pull this tight. And we're done with the wiring. I'm going to throw a little bit of paint on all these guys. And then while that, I mean, it's acrylic paint, so it dries really fast. Really, really fast. We'll be putting the pipe cleaners on the back of the sign. I'm going to place the sign, make the bow. And then place all the little, after I put all that stuff on, the greenery stuff comes pretty quick. And then again, I like to kind of place things all around. When I made the other one, I had a plan. But I ended up moving things around that I didn't know I was going to place in different places. Let me get this off there. So I ended up changing the actual plan I had for the other wreath, just because of, I didn't want to, also it was a little tricky because I didn't want to cover up too much of the wreath. So if you put too much on it, you actually won't know, you can't still tell that it's a paw print, believe it or not. So you're going to have little weird wonky spots. You're going to have little stuff that's kind of out left and right. But after you've wired it all on, that's what you're looking with. So you got 3 wires, 1, 2, and 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's what you're working with. So you can see the black wire. See how in person it might stick out to some people than other. You might not care. Again, if we put this sign up here, it covers most of it, and I'll be putting ribbon and greenery on it. You're still going to be able to see these ones here. So I just take the acrylic paint, and you honestly do not need that much of it. It's just a little tiny bit of acrylic paint. And I was doing this on those Mickey, sorry, didn't use the wrong word. The mouse wreaths, not a creature with stirring wreaths, little, basically same premise. You just don't use these 2. So you wire one here, you wire one here, and you're done. And then you have a mouse, if you can kind of picture that. It might be a little bit too spaced apart, but as long as your bottom piece is bigger and it's proportionate to the ears on the mouse wreath, that's basically the exact same process. I'm just not putting on 4, I'm putting on 2. And I did that with these 2. I painted the wire just because I didn't want it to peek through. So put just a tiny bit of paint on my little dirty paint thing. And then little sponges, you can get these anywhere. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that. Michael's, Joann's, Hobby Lobby, everywhere you see these where all the little paint is. And all I'm doing is painting. I'm just dabbing it onto the black wire, and you'll see basically it pretty much disappears. It really is kind of just that added little extra touch. And that's just one coat. You see how now, instead of having a really big, bright, visible black wire, it's brown. It takes 5 seconds. It's just a little bit of added extra, just a little added extra step that finishes it off. Just that little bit. And then the paint itself is just paint that I had. I didn't actually go out and try to paint match this or get the proper color brown. I picked a couple browns out before, and I was mixing them, and then I thought, well, this one just works fine. I'm getting paint on the wreath. It's dabbing it on, and it's not going to affect your finished product. Your wreath is going to look amazing no matter what. You can also throw some glue on the back of these too at the end if you want to make sure those little, the twisting and the wires of the knotting at the end. I twist mine off so well that I'm not worried about it at all. I've had regular wreaths that I've redone. I've had wreaths that I've redone on my front door where I can't even get the wire off from the bow. I've had to just clip the wire from the bow and leave it on the frame just because I've twisted it on so well. I was like, well, apparently I did such a good job, I now cannot get it off. So I'm very guilty of that. And since this dries so quickly, dab on a second coat if you want. Again, there's the back. Depends on how well you want the back to be covered. I don't doubt that over time this might come off just because it's only acrylic paint and I'm not going to get sealer. I'm not going to spray it with anything. But feel free to add some steps. And if you guys make one of these, send me pictures. Number one, I definitely would want to see. I love looking at the stuff you guys make. It's so much fun to have you guys share that stuff with me. I love it. But if you have another step, or if you come across an easier way to do this than painting, I didn't want to spray paint just because I don't want to spray paint the entire, I'm only covering a little bit of the wire. I don't want to spray paint the whole thing. Hi, Carol. Thanks for joining me. I didn't want to spray paint too much of it because you can't control the overspray, and then that might just get a little out of hand with the overspray. Yeah, you could end up painting the whole thing, and then I didn't want it to look spray painted just because the natural grapevine is just pretty on its own. I've done a wreath before where I've spray painted it, and it's turned out great. It's just, it took about 2.5, almost 3 cans of spray paint for me to get a solid coat so that you didn't see things through it. So anytime you're working with that kind of stuff, you're looking at a decent amount of spray paint, and that could get frustrating. I got a little knot on the back of that I'm taking off. It's just the grapevine itself. Almost done, guys. And again, I used a black wire. You could use silver wire. That's going to show more. I get. You can get green wire, but if you're able to find brown wire, please let me know, and I will look. Again, I didn't look on too many websites. I probably could have got it on Craft Outlet or Paper Mart. I just didn't want, when I made the other one that we gave as a gift, I didn't want to wait. Paper Mart comes really quick to me. So does Craft Outlet. The shipments don't take that long to receive. You ever just get your mind set on a project and you just want to make it so badly that you don't want to wait? I'm very guilty of that. If I have an idea, I just kind of want to try to put it together right then and there. I don't want to wait for my own... I don't want to wait for the process. Sometimes I just want to see how much of it I have, and usually I always assume that I have so much crap in my craft closets and in all my storage bins that I should be able to do stuff that I think of. But a lot of times no matter what I do and how much I collect, I always end up at the craft store. And I don't know if that's by design or maybe on purpose. But inevitably, there's always some little tiny supply that I might end up needing. Okay, I'm just dabbing these a little bit more. You can see the wire, you can see how it's constructed, but at least it's a complementing color. It's not so bright of a contrast, a dark contrast of that shiny black wire against all the natural browns. So this puts a matte finish to it, and it makes it look that much better. Okay guys, that was it. So now you can see here, they don't stick out as much, right? So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. You can take a look there. The paint basically makes it match the color of the wreath. You see right here. And right here. And then all these little guys in between. Paint. Paint. So it adds just a little bit of that finished edge. Not so much of a contrast. It kind of helps with any other kind of wire you have. I have white covered wire too, but this worked out great for me, and the other wire was a little bit more affordable. So let me try and clean this off a little bit. And acrylic paint dries really quickly, so I basically just keep working on it. Right now what we're going to do is put the pipe cleaners on the back of the sign, so I really need to commit to where I want to place the sign on this guy. So here is the Christmas sign that I got, and then here is my extra little Michael's bone. It's a wooden ornament that's a bone. I'm going to pull it. They stapled them on the back, so you know you can hang the ornament. So I'm going to pull those staples out with my pliers. And they come out really easy. They're not like crazy. Of course, now I'm saying that, yeah. They come out pretty easy. So here's what they look like. They get little staples. Not bad. And I just dropped the other one. These are the little things I want to make sure actually go in the trash can, because I have a dog that eats everything, whom is not allowed in this room. So here's the idea. I like the rustic too. It's just a little weathered. It has the paint taken off of it. So I'm going to hang this one sort of this way this time. And then don't be afraid to move your wires around. It's a natural wreath. I mean, move your wreaths around. It's a natural wreath. So I want to place it this way more. And then put my bow here. Paw print there. What do you guys think? I think I'm going to place it this way. I'm going to put my bow here. So if you hold it this way, you can, or if you hang it this way. It's actually not really. I could put it at the bottom and put the bow right here. But I think I want to put it closer to these guys. Actually, I might want to hang it this way. So it would be a little, that looks a little bit too crooked, I think. This guy right here, these two guys right here, they're the biggest pieces here. They're interfering with how I want to place the sign on there. I have more room on this side to put the bone. I'm going to just set it right down. I'm going to put it right square in the middle. I thought I'd put it closer to the top, but I don't want the sign to be that crooked, and I don't want to hang it just like this. I want to hang it more off to the side. I like the little paw print diagonal look. But, I mean, I could do it this, I could hang it this way and put the sign up this way. I did that before for the other one I made. I don't know now, guys. Give me 5 seconds. Let me figure this out real quick. going to be wherever I can get it to kind of nestle in really well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put my pipe cleaners on the back. So let me move this over a little bit. Let me kind of prop that up. I'm going to end up having a ribbon avalanche. You guys can see here. So I got my stapler, my staple gun. Got 2 pipe cleaners. I'm going to kind of fold them a little bit in half. A little bit in half. So you have basically U-shaped pipe cleaners. And I'm going to put them on each corner. I'll just do 2 staples. When I order from them, they actually sell the signs and they drill holes in the corners, and then they'll send you twine. And since I don't use these, I just had to give them instruction to say, please don't drill holes and no twine needed. So they gave those, they sent them to me perfectly with no holes. So even if you want holes, you could actually hang it on another piece. I had to take those out. They didn't get the pipe cleaner very well. So that's what I did with my stapler, my staple gun. I got 2 staples on each one here, in here. And now I'm just going to basically shoot them with some hot glue over the staples. And then let that dry. It's just another added little way to secure it. That's not wood hot glue, because they make separate wood hot glue. It's going to stick to the pipe cleaner and the staple more than the wood, I bet, but I haven't had a problem yet. The stapler I got at Sears many, many years ago. I just like the little, it's small, puts that in. And if you guys need to know, I am using 5/16 staples in it. I got those at Lowe's, I believe. So if you guys wanted to go pick up maybe the same supplies, you'd be able to do that. So waiting for that to dry. Basically, that's what we did. I just put glue on the back. So we're still waiting for that to dry a little bit. I'm not going to put this on until I'm closer to being more completed to it. So while that glue dries, I'm going to take my little extra pieces here, and I'm just going to start clipping them off. I'm going to take these extra pieces I had left over from my other projects, and I'm going to clip them off, and I'm going to try and clean them up a little bit. This type of pine, I'm not sure what the name of it is, but it's got like, it's very, very spindly. Some of these artificial ones, they get some crazy bends in them, and the plastic bends. And also, this kind of stuff doesn't hold up to hot glue. As soon as you put hot glue on it, it starts to curl and make some crazy... It basically melts pretty badly. Ow. See, just poke myself with it. Kind of try to pull it up to see which ones are going too crazy. Do you see how this is basically, it's just a really crazy looking type of pine. See that? So I had these picks left over from the wreaths I was making. They had, this is one of those picks that has a lot of different types of pine on it. And I never used to pick these up in the craft stores. I used to just, actually never picked up the pine at all, but I like adding them to my evergreen wreaths. Like this guy back here has got all kinds of different stuff in it. And see, the best part is that this was a $5 pick that had all kinds of stuff on it. I've already used everything off of it except for these guys. And I paid $2.50 for it. So it's not bad. And I'm using it for multiple projects. And actually, I'm not going to throw that away because this bottom piece here, this is a very good, decent wire. So always look at your goodies and see what you've got left. I'm going to clip that off right there because now I can use this as a tool. It's got a rounded edge on it. This is very, and it's coated pretty well. So I'm going to use this as a tool. You can hold things in. You can use this bottom piece to hold things down or pick things out. So I don't ever get rid of these things. I think I threw the other one away, didn't I? Yes, I did. See? I got to talking, and I almost threw away good stuff. I'm not putting the effort into unwrapping this just because that's glued on there before, but I have unwrapped other stems that had a much better wire on them, like this guy right here. This is really, really thick, good piece of strong wire. See how long this one was? I did that with that one too. It took time, but I'm going to be able to use that for a lot of different pieces that, you know, it's for things like you need to make holes in styrofoam, or, you know, the glue is too hot, but you need to be able to hold it down. I have a lot of times where I want to put the bow on and the glue is still through the bow, and I'll burn my finger through the bow just because the glue is still hot. That's one of those times where you can use one of those types of picks or stuff, the picks or the wires to help you hold things down or make holes, or they're just really good tools that you basically can just save yourself from having to go buy anything at the hardware store or stuff like that. So that's just my little tip of the day, you could say, if you want. And here's another tricky part, because we're going to have to feed this through. After all my glue is dry, we're going to set it back down on here and find out where we need to feed through the where are we going to feed it all through at? Alright, so this guy can go in here. So just pushing these through open holes you have, and then just pull them down in. I'm not going to secure this side yet because I want to see how I can get the placement on this side, just to make sure I have the sign at the angle that you want it to be. I don't know if I want this to stay this way or not, but we'll see how much of a battle it's going to be. A lot of times I can't get it through. Best thing to do is take some scissors or take something, whether it could be one of those wires, those big thick wires, and then just try to help work it through the wreath to make a hole. It's almost akin to putting a key on a key ring, especially if you got some long fingernails like I have had. Mine aren't long right now, but my fingernails don't allow me to place things on keys on key rings very easily, so I have to go get like a butter knife or a fork. So we're doing the same thing, but with the scissors. I'm just making the hole. I'm making a guide hole for this thing, for this pipe cleaner. This side has been tied pretty tight. There we go. So twisting it a little bit. I can see it right there, and I can't get it just yet. It just keeps catching on something. There we go. Pull it through. Pull that out. Let's see how we're going to do that. If you like your corner here and you like your corner here, I'm going to stick with it. I like how it looks, so I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to twist all these guys together. And then the pipe cleaner, I'm doing the same thing as I did with the wire where I wired it on. I'm just twisting it on itself a few times. And then I'm going to cut off the excess and then use my pliers to twist it over onto itself. And here's where I'm probably going to, I'm going to use some hot glue on the pipe cleaner and the wreath. I'm twisting this under, and it's coming under, so this is a little bit more, this is a successful turn. But I'm going to use hot glue on this at the end and put some leaves on the back to cover it up, just so you're not seeing the pipe cleaner. And then there's no sharp edge on that. Pull it tight, twist it, so we're doing the other side. And twist it under. This one might not work on this side. Let's see how we're doing here. I got it twisted under once. It's just a little bit of, just needed a little bit of coercion. Okay, so there's where we got so far. I wanted the toe beans to be on this side, but this piece right here is not, this bigger piece that they use, it wasn't allowing me to do that. So this is how it's going to hang. Now I know Facebook switches stuff around, but that does say Merry Christmas. It is correct. It's not backwards. And you guys will see, I'll put some still pictures up, and you'll see that that's basically right. So that's what we're working with right now. I think I got some Grapevine in my lip gloss. Alright, next up is, I'm just going to place Greenery in it first. I'm going to definitely put the bow down here on the right. I'm going to put the bow here so it kind of hangs this way. So these guys are my little extra pieces. There's just 4 of them. I'm going to kind of nestle them in left and right here just to see how much, like, just to see placement, if I like, you know, it here, there, X, Y, Z, that type of stuff. Definitely going to put one here. And do I want to put one here? Normally I stick with the clockwise. You go with one direction, but I'm kind of liking this right here. I can glue this down now. I can commit to putting this guy right here. I don't want it on this side of the sign. I think it's too close here. I have a good open space on this side of the sign, so I'm going to glue that right there. And just starting with the preliminary Greenery, I'm liking where I have these guys here too, so I'm just going to go ahead and glue them in as well. So here is holding these straight down like that. I'm going to put this down into my glue pot right under here. And the glue pot doesn't get as hot as my glue gun, so I'm not going to probably have as much of an issue with this stuff melting. If I was to put glue on the end of this with my glue gun, you would see the plastic, these little needles on this thing, start to curl up and twist all around because it's really, really hot. It melts very quickly like that. So just using my glue pot on these little things that I can stick in there, and then place that inside just right under. All I'm doing is just stuffing it down into the Grapevine. I'm using the Grapevine as my holder. So this one is pretty well, it's pretty thick. So also when I pick out Grapevine wreaths, if you guys have a different idea, let me know. I'm the kind of person that will literally pull almost all of them off. Do you see what I just glued the back of this bone, and I'm sticking it to the corner of the wreath, or the sign. I pull them all off and I make sure they're pretty dense. I want to make sure that they're not really see-through. You want to have a lot of little Grapevine sticks. That way you have a lot of stuff to stick things to. Stuff won't come out of them. And then you also have a lot to work with as far as sometimes, you know, sometimes I've seen leaves, so you have a lot to work with as far as nope, this one got a little bit wet. Got a little bit more glue on this than I wanted. Hold on, guys. Having a small glue crisis. There we go. Hold on, hold on. Okay. You see that? I got a little gloopy. Not a problem though, because we're just going to use all that glue and stuff that right in there like that. I forgot what I was saying. Sorry. Oh. How are you guys doing today? I think I had this one right here. Yeah. Okay. Trying to remember the hole that I had it in. These little middle pieces in here bend also, so I can bend this down. I can bend this down this way. Bend it down. I don't want it to bend too much. I kind of want it to still look more natural. Like as much natural as it can for an artificial piece of greenery. Also, I shake it all off once I'm done, just because you're going to have these little needles and pieces of Grapevine all over the place while you're working on it. And that's just the name of the game. It's part of the process. I'm going to save a few of these. I think what I want to do is I want to do my bow first before I put in the smaller accents. This is more for filler. So I'm going to cut all this apart and use this guy. I'm going to cut this apart and use a lot of these. And the berries, I'm definitely not putting the berries in until last. But this is what we've got so far. So I just put the bone on the corner, and then I've put those 4 extra pieces I had left over from picks I used on other projects. So far this is what we're working with. And that's the back. You can't really see anything too bad. You've got a pipe cleaner here and a pipe cleaner here. I used brown just because the wreath is brown, but I'm going to cover that up with some leaves when we're done anyway. So that's what we have so far. So here I'm going to do a different type of sloppy bow. I like calling them sloppy just because, in my opinion, it's easy. And there's not too much proper placement involved. I like bows that just kind of look like you tied them up in a knot, and I guess the only word I keep coming up with is sloppy, and to me sloppy is beautiful. So that's what I have decided to try to do with this particular one. I've got this really pretty red burlap that you can get at Hobby Lobby, and that's what I did. This just says burlap ribbon. It's 15 feet and it's 5.5 inches wide. And I got it it's $6.99, but I got it for $3.49 because I believe this was not seasonal. This is in their floral department, and there's many different colors. I've got blue, red, green, blue, yellow, red, natural, and black burlap, and it's just their regular burlap. But I used my 40% off app coupon at Hobby Lobby, and I got that. But this red is a very bright, pretty red. This ribbon right here is black with some silver, like a metallic silver in the plaid, black and white. And this is actually Kirkland's ribbon. So this is Costco ribbon that I got a few years ago. This is spring ribbon. You can see by the picture here. This is springtime ribbon. And I think that this pretty black and white with the silver in it is very Christmassy, especially since we're placing it with blacks and reds and whites. The other one that I did was kind of like... yes, Vicki, I was talking about how I pick out my grapevine wreath. I forgot what I was saying already. Here's another one I got. This is Michael's. I got this at Halloween this year, and I've already used it. I used this on that natural Halloween wreath that you guys can see on my YouTube channel. I also did a Facebook Live for it. So this is more of a burlap with a black lace on it. This was a Halloween ribbon. So we're going to throw a little bit of that in with this red burlap. And of course you can't go anywhere. You can't do any of this stuff without this paw print ribbon. I got a great deal on. Everybody, if you guys remember that, I got a great deal on craftoutlet.com. It's one of my favorite places to buy ribbon. So I'm cutting the dovetail into the ends that are, if you guys can see here, I'm cutting the dovetail into the open ends that I'm going to use. That way when I'm finished, all I have to do is cut a dovetail into the very last piece after I've already placed it. I do that quite often. And dovetail is folded in half and cut diagonally, either out from the diagonally out towards the edge from the fold, or from the wire diagonally in towards the fold. Whichever you do it to put, basically at the end, you're going to have this V shape, which is called dovetail. I dovetail it, all my ends first. And I also get all my spools ready before I actually make the ribbon. It's just easier if you've got them all open and ready to go, because as I hold it, I want to grab the next ribbon and I've already got it undone, because if then you're struggling to open your ribbon spool. I also save the wrappers on these guys because it drives me up a wall when you're storing ribbon and it does this. It falls. One of my pet peeves. I hate ribbon unwinding when I'm trying to store it, and even then, my ribbon storage is a nightmare. I have so many mounds of ribbon in here. You guys would actually probably be horrified if you were to see how much ribbon I have. It's for this room, it's a ridiculous amount of ribbon, and it's stacked up over here, it's stacked up here, stacked up there, stacked up there. It's everywhere. So if it starts to unravel while it's on the shelf, yeah. I mean, I still love ribbon. love it with, I have an addiction to ribbon and florals. I don't know what that is, but I can't store it. So I end up saving the little pieces that come around it. I take them off and I save them, and then I put a little piece of tape with a piece wrapped over so you have a little tab to pull it off. Some things I do are super organized. Some things, like trying to find places to store everything, not organized, not so much. It's a little messy, but... So this burlap, what I'm planning on doing with the burlap is I'm not going to leave a tail because burlap will unravel over time, and I don't want to have that piece become so frayed that eventually the wreath won't look good anymore. So basically for the burlap, I'm just going to make a loop and pinch it. So here's my first loop, and then I'm going to make a second loop the same exact way, and then I'm just going to cut that off. So here's basically the burlap bow, and I've made that second loop here. So if I'm going to cut it right here, I'm going to get my scissors and literally just cut the burlap off. So my cut edges are going to be behind everything in the project. They won't be seen because they're going to be resting against the wreath. So this is basically the base of it. So I've just grabbed everything and gathered it in the middle, if you can see there, and I've pinched it all together. That's really all I've done. Since burlap isn't wired, it's floppy, it's very forgiving, and it's going to add a good amount of, well, the color is going to add a good pop in behind the bow of everything else we're putting in here, but it's very thick, so it's going to add more stability to the bottom of the bow. The bow shouldn't, then as we place it, it won't fall down and then you have to find things to build it up. This is going to give it a good thick base to work with. So my next one is the 2.5 inch ribbon. I like to go from biggest to smallest. So I got the 2.5 inch, and then this guy is 1.5 inch. This is also 1.5 inch. And then I might put a little bit of this, what is this? I always forget. This is 7/8 inch wide. I just thought the buffalo plaid with the snowflakes was very pretty. That may or may not make it in. And if it does make it in, it might not be part of this construction. I'll show you guys in a minute. Let's see, Helen. I do the same thing. If I'm shopping and I find something that's like extremely exciting, I'll just say, oh my. I found many times I've been talking to myself, and then somebody next to me starts to giggle a little bit, and then we'll strike up a conversation. She says happy accidents when that happens. If she's standing in the aisle and finds something special, she'll talk to anyone standing in that aisle. I've done that many times where I'm in the aisle and I just start laughing, or I say to myself, oh my God, this is going to be perfect. I'm excited. Someone else will start to giggle, and then we'll just strike up a conversation, especially if they're a fellow crafter. It ends up being pretty fun, pretty hilarious. So same thing now, guys. I'm taking this ribbon. I'm going to guesstimate that I want my first tail to be about that long, so I'm going to pinch it there, and that's how long I want that tail to be. And I place that down into my thumb. Now I got to hold this a little bit differently because this burlap is so thick. So I'm going to kind of guesstimate that I want my first loop that big. I'm just going to grab it, pinch that in there with it, twist it, because this is, excuse me, it's one-sided ribbon. So I'm twisting it here. I'm going to make the other loop just right about that size, and then twist that so it faces forward. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck this under that side so that I got another one coming up. I have the other tail coming up the other side, so I'll show you. I'm going to cut this a little bit longer than the other one so I have a little bit of room to cut that dovetail where I want it. And so I'm just going to make sure this is right on top of the other one. Got a tail down. I have my tail going down this way, and I got one coming up this way. So again, we're going to place it on this wreath. It's going to have the tails popping up left and right. And then if you don't like that after you place it, once we wire it down, you can pull this tail any way you want. You can pull it down this way. You can pull it. I'll show you guys. You can really manipulate these ribbons with the wire. Now, obviously, the burlap we can't. We can move it as much as it'll let us because it's not wired. But this wired stuff, you have a lot of free open space. And you have the ability to move those tails and move the loops around after you've already secured it with wire. There's really not much you can't do with it. And since this is double-sided, I literally only have to pinch and pinch. I don't have to twist this because this is identical on both sides. And that's the best kind of ribbon. If you guys have a chance to buy something like that, that's the best kind of ribbon. Because then you don't really need to focus so much on making sure you've twisted it. Now, like this paw print stuff, it looks double-sided, but it's actually not. There's the front, and then that's the back. In the back, the paw prints aren't as brightly, I mean, the color isn't as vibrant. It's kind of like a muted black. And then also the edging, you'll see the edging is a little bit darker and nicer on the front than it is on the back. It's almost like it's designed to be on this side. So this one we are going to have to twist. So I'm just adding, again, I'm adding more ribbons than I did on the other one. But I'm going to leave them kind of short so they kind of just look like a little ribbon explosion. I don't want a lot of tails or a lot of the dramatic curls coming down off of it, but I definitely want to get this paw print ribbon in there just because that's the theme we're sticking with on this guy. I'm already holding on to a lot here. And I'm definitely going to put this ribbon right here in the middle because it's going to add another pop of red. See, like without it, I got a lot of black and white going on. So I'm going to put this right here in the ribbon, or in the middle. But I think what I have to do is I have to get this situated the way I know I'm going to want it to be, at least somewhat. Yeah, we got a lot of black and white in the middle, but I'm going to move some of these loops around after I get it. So basically, I'm going to wire it together now that I'm holding it. I'm going to put this in the middle, but I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to do it separately. I might use a zip tie. I might just use another pipe cleaner. So I'm going to grab a black pipe cleaner. Completely up to you. You could still use, you know what, I could still use brown. Let's just use brown. We already used brown on the sign, so I'll just use a brown one. So I use a brown pipe cleaner. I kind of bend it in half. And then I'm going to place it around my hands where I'm holding this guy at. Pull it under my hand in the back. So I'm getting it as close to the middle as I possibly can. And then here you're going to pinch it as tight as you possibly can. It's a little bit of a maneuver. And then since this is so big, I'm going to pull this as tight as I possibly can before I make that first twist. So that's what you're looking at on the front. It's not pretty, but we're going to make it that way. So all you got to make sure is you got your loops together, and then we're just going to twist and make sure that we're keeping it all tight together. In fact, scratch that. You don't want to twist it too much because this is going to make it stick out further from the wreath. So I'd say twist it maybe 2-3 times. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to dovetail my other ends that aren't dovetailed just yet. And then once I get it on the wreath, if I still decide maybe these tails are too long, I'll cut it again. But very few times that has happened to me. I just kind of stick with what I've already done. If they're even, they're even. Unless you're really specifically going for an asymmetrical look. Oh, that one got cut really bad. And that's really all you're kind of looking for. Is either you're going for an asymmetrical look or you're going for a symmetrical look, one or the other. This is a sloppy bow, so I really don't think there's a wrong way to do it if you're going for a sloppy look. Different size, different lengths, different sizes of ribbon, different widths of ribbon. I don't really think there's a wrong way to go about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this tied onto the wreath right down here on this bottom left corner. And this guy came through right here. Didn't necessarily want that. So same thing as we did with the sign, and the same thing we did with the wreath, you know, tying the wreaths together. I'm going to feed this through on the back. I got to watch to see where it's coming through at, and then that's where we just pull those the rest of the way through. So this bow is going to kind of pop up this way. Now see, I put this guy right here, and it's pushing the bow up. I'm not going to move it. I could bend it a little bit further out, but I kind of like the fact that the bow is basically on top of it. So sometimes people like to do the bow first before they put the greenery on. I'll do my big filler pieces first. There's really no set way to do it. If something changes and you don't like it, and I've already glued that pine piece in. I could rip it out, but I don't know how difficult that's going to be, and I'd probably ruin the pine piece, and I definitely want to keep it in my wreath. So I'm going to leave it the way it is. A lot of times there's very few things that I'll actually rip back out of the wreath unless something's just really not turning out, and I haven't had that happen for a while. I've usually been able to save stuff, you know, just to save an idea without having to rip too many things out of it. But it's also a lot of the reasons why I will actually just kind of set things in a wreath instead of gluing them in first. Especially on the evergreen wreaths, because there's not much room for error on those when it comes to hot glue. Otherwise you're ripping a lot of the evergreen out and then the wreath won't look the same. So now let me fix it just a little bit. I'm not going to fuss with it too much, only because we're going to place a little bit more, we're going to put some more goodies in it. So what I did was I've pulled, these two ribbons were paw print and plaid. So what I've done is I've pulled one or the other and I've made them cross X-wise. So if you see here, here's your paw print ribbon, here's your plaid ribbon. I'm taking this loop and I'm going to pull it up this way. And I'm going to take this loop on this guy and kind of pull it down a little bit more. Leave these two here. So you've got a little bit of mixture. Now the stuff behind it, the burlap and the laced wired burlap, that's not going to be able to move around too much. You're kind of limited on that just because the red burlap is not wired. And that was already something I knew going in, and I accepted it, and we're fine with that. It's just, it is what it is. And then also I like to place all kinds of goodies and extra things in the middle of my sloppy bows. Almost sounds like sloppy joes, but it's sloppy bows. And again, now I got this tail covering up my sign. So I'm going to try to pull it more to the right out of this side. So I'm going to have both of the burlap tails coming out of this side. Not too bad. And nothing says I can't also cut it shorter. I actually might just pull it around. Let me see where this was actually put at. Okay, that's the top one, so I'm going to kind of pull it down under here this way. So a lot of this just comes down to preference, placement preference. What do you like to see in your wreath, or what is your client or your gift recipient? If you know their taste or their style, what are they looking for? And see, to me these tails are a little too long right here. I'm going to end up cutting those a little shorter. Because I don't want this to be too big to where we're not going to be able to see the sign when we have it hanging up. A little bit of room to pull that. And see, that wasn't so tight to where I couldn't pull this a little bit to make this loop smaller. That's not going to be a problem, because once I'm finished and I like this bow, when I start to glue all the little goodies down in there, I'm going to be able to basically get the bow and seal the bow tight with the glue that I plan to use, with hot glue. Basically, it's hot glue. It's going to be really sealed up with hot glue. So here's that piece, but I'm not done yet, so I want to add this little small buffalo plaid with the snowflakes on it. I want to add this ribbon right to the center of this bow. I think it's going to give it just a little bit more of that red look with the black plaid. So we have basically all the colors we're using, black, red, white, are in this. And it's still got a good little country theme to it. So I'm going to basically do a little tiny bow here. So I got a little tiny tail. And then this little stuff, it's not wired, but I still have to twist this stuff so that you can get the full effect of the snowflake side of this ribbon. And this was just making different size bow loops. That one might be a little bit big. Pinching them and twisting it, and then you're holding the pinch, because since it's not wired, you're not exactly relying on the wire to hold it after you've twisted it. So where I've twisted it and then you pinch it, that's basically where I'm holding it at. I'm going to cut that off at a diagonal right there. I'm going to use, this is a pipe cleaner I cut in half. I keep them little extra ones already made, so I got a half pipe cleaner here. And this isn't going to go around the wreath. I don't even think this is going to go around the bow. I'm going to show you guys what I'm going to do with it. So I'm just taking my pinched pieces, I'm holding them in half, and then I'm placing that pipe cleaner through the middle, and then I'm twisting it here. And I'm going to keep twisting and keep twisting and keep twisting. And I'll show you guys. This is basically going to get glued down in the middle, and then it becomes like the centerpiece. We're going to add some greenery and some berries to it too, to the middle of the big bow, but this is basically your little sloppy centerpiece that adds that extra little pop of red that I wanted. I just didn't have, I didn't think I had the coordination to hold this with it, just because I know it is not wired. So that's basically all you're looking for. It's just 4 loops. They're really, you know, floppy, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. So that's what we're looking with. And that's what we have on the back. I'm going to cut that off right there where I've twisted most of it. And we're going to see how far down in here I'm going to glue this into. I kind of like to just first off hold my wreath and then place it down in there and see how I like it. And you can do this with anything. You can do this with curling ribbon. You can do this with grosgrain. You can do it with anything that you want to put a center, a puffier, if you want like a poofier center to your bow. Just going to use that and kind of probably place that and glue that right down there in the center. So what I need to do is I'm going to have to cut this a little bit shorter. I'm just going to bend it in half. I'm still using the pipe cleaner on the bottom of it. I'm going to put my glue all over this piece right here. Oh, thank you, Louise. This is where some of the time, you know, the time stuff pops into you, where it's like, you know, I wanted to do something a little bit shorter, but the creative process just kind of, I'm not in control of it. It's whatever my mind and abilities will allow me to do. And if I can't get something to look a certain way, then I got to keep working at it. You know, you got to keep kind of hashing and going at it until your piece gets to the way you want it. Yeah, I'm going to glue this right down into the middle of my bow, and then it won't be finished, a finished piece yet, because what I'm going to do is we'll be adding berry and greeneries to accent this. So I'm just going to dip that piece of the pipe cleaner into my glue pot, and then I'm going to stick that right down into the center of this bow. And then basically, if you want, you can end it there. That doesn't look bad. That looks pretty cute. It's just adding an extra little piece that you didn't have to hold. You didn't have to struggle with it because it's not wired, so it looks okay. And I like the way. I think it's a little. It adds that little extra piece of holiday cuteness to the middle. So that's all I did, was just kind of glued it right down there in the center. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just start placing all the other bigger greenery pieces that I want to put on this thing, and then I save a couple here and there off at the end. And I'll be placing those inside pieces of the bow just to give it more depth and make it look as though maybe the bow, the greenery grew around the bow. It's really all preference. Now, normally, if I was doing an arrangement with styrofoam, I would leave this piece right here because this is where the wire is. But I'm actually going to cut these off here at the rubber parts, so there's no wire left in these. So basically, you could still save this and use this for a pick or a, oh my gosh, as a helper tool, you know, something like that. It's up to you. Just sharing ideas. You guys have any other weird tools you use? I know I've saved toilet paper rolls, and I use those to hold my pipe cleaners. And my extra little sticks and pieces, and I put that in a shoebox. I could tell you all kinds of extra little weird, handy things I've done to just organize stuff. I don't want to spend, because a lot of times I'll find if I go out to get the organizing stuff, the little pretty white cabinet things that look great, or other things that they sell at the craft stores, they're not the right size. They don't work out exactly how I want them, or I can't fit everything in them. So I end up feeling like I've wasted a little bit of money or time only because it doesn't do what I need it to do, and it doesn't hold all of my pieces. So I'll just find my own little way. I also just taken regular boxes and wrapped them with wrapping paper so that they're not too ugly. And I've used those to prop up some of those organizational pieces that don't hold anything. So here I show you guys this thing. It's kind of a little. There's a shoebox. I think about a pair of flip-flops sometime. And then here's all my toilet paper rolls I've saved. And then here's pipe cleaners. Here's the extra piece. Remember, this one I just saved earlier in the video. There's my chopsticks I use for crafts as extra dowels. And here's all the little extra weird sized pieces of good thick pieces I'm going to probably plan on using. So these are my pipe cleaners I've cut in half. My other pipe cleaners I have off to the side. But this is just one of the things I use to organize things with. And so far, it's not at capacity, so it's working for everything I want it to do. And obviously it was technically free, because I obviously am going to buy shoes no matter what. I'm a female. That's just how it goes. Shoes are fun. And then toilet paper. Everybody does that. Everybody's got toilet paper rolls. My mom used to work for the school district, and the kids at school, she worked with the elementary school kids. And then they would save toilet paper rolls throughout the whole year, and the kids would end up making some sort of like binocular type thing out of them. So for the longest time, I've been saving toilet paper rolls in bags for my mom so she could take them to school with her for the kids. And I had so many left over that I thought what I planned on doing was I was honestly going to make a Halloween costume for one of my dogs out of the toilet paper rolls. I was going to cut it and make it look like macaroni and cheese, because I saw someone did that for one of their kids. And since my kids are four-legged kids, I thought my dogs would be cute as like macaroni and cheese and hot dogs. Anyways, I still have a lot of toilet paper rolls, but I ended up doing that little idea with the shoebox because it helped me keep my wires and things organized while I was still able to reach them. It kept them separate. A lot of the times the pipe cleaners stick to themselves, and it's very difficult to keep them separate without pulling them everywhere. Because I like to grab things as I'm making them. I don't want everything to fall everywhere, especially if I'm doing one of these bows. If I'm trying to do a more involved bow and then I go to grab a pipe cleaner and the pipe cleaner falls everywhere, it makes it more difficult. So that's just one of my little ideas. Almost done, you guys. I know I say that like 60 times. Okay, let's get that out of the way. So, what I have here is, those are extra little pieces from a garland. There's that guy. This piece I got at Hobby Lobby. It's just your other evergreen pick. It also has different pieces in it. I like how this one is like spindly looking. Got one of those. I got another one of these. It has a different type of edge to it, so it's a different kind of pine. Then I've got a classic evergreen, and then another one of those spindly looking ones. And then I've got these four little weird, oh no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 6 little corkscrew things, and then like maybe 3 berries, I think. Yeah, and I got 3 berries. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off this weird looking one, these 2 little odd ones. I'm going to place them in the wreath somewhere, and I'm going to use them to kind of poof things up a little bit, at least under the bow, to give the bow a little bit more support. So all I'm doing is just taking my pliers and I'm just cutting them off the pick. Okay, that one was a little difficult, but I won. might use this in the bow itself. I could actually take these and kind of curl them around a dowel and maybe make them look like they're little corkscrew looking cute things coming out. I'm not sure. I might do that, might not. Let's see if I can put this one right under here like this. Yeah, I like that. So this bigger one I'm going to put mostly under the bottom of the bow here on this side, just to give it more support on the bottom. Remember I said that burlap doesn't really bend, so if I'm going to use this to kind of hold it up, I'm going to lift the bow up on the bottom, and I'm literally just pushing this down into the wreath underneath it. So then that's what the piece looks like right there. So I just lifted my bow up and pushed it right in. Got an evergreen piece. Now that looks kind of sloppy, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to see how you guys see what it looks like right there. So I'm going to make it look a little bit more refined. So take a peek at that. That's the before. And I'm going to do it over my trash can just because it's really, really messy. I do this on a lot of different of the less expensive evergreen bushes. If you buy a garland on clearance, I like to just clip that thing apart, take all the pieces off of it, and then I trim them up on the edges, give them a little point, kind of taper them a little bit, and then that's what it looks like when you're done. So this is the piece that's going to stick out on your wreath. So your before was a little crazy, and then you just basically take your scissors and you're basically, here's the tip, I took my scissors and I cut down at an edge. I cut down at an angle on both sides, all around, on the front and the back. And that gives you more of a tapered edge. And a lot of more expensive wreaths that you can get from some of the websites, they have all of the tips on the actual pieces are tapered like this, and they look really, really nice. So I've done that with all of any kind of inexpensive item you can get. I'll go back to Michael's and Joann's and Hobby Lobby and buy the garlands and the swags and all of the extra pieces. Even if you want to buy the really big wreaths, if they get down to $1 or a couple bucks each, you have all those options to cut all of the pieces off and taper them if you want, and it adds just a tiny bit of extra little bit of I don't know what I'm looking for. It just adds a little bit of more finished look. There we go. It looks really nicely finished, in my opinion, if you just taper those edges a little bit more. I'm just trying to see where I want to place some of these guys. I'm not going to glue them in yet, just because this is just greenery that we're placing in different places to add a variety. I like to variegate the amount of greens. I like them to be, I don't want them to be all the same. So even on my evergreen wreaths, I add different kinds of greenery in, which is why we've got ficus leaves. You could also add fern. You could add some of the the ones that look like house plants. This is a Hobby Lobby tag. It's, oh geez. Some of the ones that are like more house planty looking, I wouldn't put those into a Christmas wreath. You'd probably get away with getting away with that like on an Easter wreath or something for spring or summer. And that Hobby Lobby tag left white all over this, so I'm just kind of trying to dig at it. Some of those tags come off really easy. Hobby Lobby tags, sometimes I don't really have a problem too much. Michael's tags fall off before you even want them to, but alright, so I bent that down a little bit. Just trying to pull this up. I think what I might do is, this piece has got these cute little flocked edges, and down here it's not. So I don't know if I'm going to use that just to glue into the wreath itself, because this is what I want to show. I like that little space in the middle. It's extremely cute. I just need to figure out where I'm going to place it. I also don't want to cover up too much of the wreath. I still want a lot of the grapevine to show through. Yeah, I'm going to put it on this side, but I'm going to cut this piece off because it's preventing me from being able to place it, push it down into the wreath. So I'm just going to cut that piece off. So So now all I'm working with is that piece of wire at the end. It's actually shedding everywhere right now, so I'm going to try to just as much as I can, and then see how this looks down here on the edge. Yeah, I really like it peeking through there just like that. So I'm putting this down here into my glue pot. I'm going to keep it in here while it's wet and then still pull this up. I got glued to that. Alright guys, I got to clip this one real quick because it got glued to the base of the other one. There we go. So I'm going to keep this lifted up under here, put my hand under to lift this guy up. Getting my glue, good amount of glue on the bottom of this piece over here. So there's that. And I'm going to nestle that right in there. And then I got to twist it to make sure I can get the desired effect. So here's what I got so far. So I placed that guy in there so you get a little bit of that little extra light colored green in there. It adds just a little bit of varied color to it. So I'm going to start just dipping in these guys and kind of just placing them here and there in the wreath. Just, you're accenting things. You're not really looking for like an even spread. It's not, you know, nothing has to be like a perfect coverage type thing. We're just basically going for adding just a tiny bit of different foliage to the other. Like most of the time you wouldn't think of you using ficus, but with the amount of color variation you can get, see like these ones are a lot brighter and then this one's a lot darker. These leaves are very forgiving as far as they just kind of give that little bit of extra. If it peeks out one side and then not the other, you get just enough of a color change that's what you're looking for. I'm just kind of placing them here and there just to get a little bit of variation. And I'm also not doing it in any sort of pattern. I'm kind of just going after it just to get something to stick out here or there. I just want a little bit of difference. So you can barely see this leaf down here that'll be hanging, but then I added this guy here and here. Tiny little bit of change, tiny little bit of color. It adds just enough to the piece. And then I'm going to put some in the bow too. Let's see. I think what I'm going to do is I want to keep this way. Again, I got to be careful because I don't want this bow to cover up too much of the sign. Put that down in there. It seems to be a little safe. Worst case scenario is once I glue this down in, if I only want like 2 of the leaves here because this 3rd leaf is covering up the sign, you can just clip it off with your wire cutters. It's not going to change too much of the style of the wreath because you're only looking for a small little, you just want a little bit of an accent. And then also, don't be afraid to glue things to the sign. Like, this is probably going to go more on the back of this bone than it is onto the wreath, only because the wreath right here isn't as deep. I mean, it's much deeper than the actual bone is, so I'm probably going to place that on the back of that bone. Always look for little tiny things. Like, if it won't go into the wreath, then you can definitely find another place to place it. Another spot to place it, I mean. here that didn't work out because that piece of the plastic on the end of the ficus was too soft after I got it hot with hot glue, so it didn't really stick. I'd use my dowel. Actually, I'm not liking it. I'm just going to pull it out and then pull this glue off of here. I'm going to use a different piece that has a little bit more of a sturdy end to it. Place that down in there like that. Okay, so switched it right out. The glue hadn't hardened yet, so I just kind of pulled it off. It got a little gummy, but not too bad. And there, I replaced it. See, this one right here, this is way too floppy. It's not strong enough to stick to anything. So I'm going to cut most of that off, and we'll be using more of this reinforced. This is a little bit harder here because it has more pieces coming off of it, but the other one was just way too soft, and it just wouldn't go into the wreath the way you'd want it to. Oh, hi Roseanne, just joined. I can show you so far what we got. I wired on all of these big 14-inch wreath. These are 6-inch wreaths for the little toe beans. And then I got the wreath sign from Woodland Crew. The bone ornament is from Michaels, and then we did the bow. I'm just putting in the greenery. You can also watch this playback on YouTube. I'm going to upload this to YouTube. There'll be some still pictures at the end of it, and then also I'll put some pictures on Facebook and Instagram so you guys can see the finished product and take a peek at everything. And then this guy will be up for sale on my Etsy page. As long as I can make sure it fits in the box I have. The boxes I have are 20 by 20 by 10. So if I can get this guy to fit in the box the way I did the other one, we'll get a little bit diagonal in there. But I'm definitely going to list this for sale in my Etsy shop, which is craftythoughtsshop.etsy.com. There'll be a link in the YouTube description. There's a link on my Facebook page. If you guys want to give me a little shout out, you can share this video. That really helps my page grow so I can do more of these for you guys. I don't like doing just one a week. This was a holiday week for Thanksgiving, so I had a little bit of extra time off. But I still wasn't able to get to as much as I wanted to. So if I can get some more shares and get some more support on the pages or the YouTube channel, I will definitely work at getting more videos out to you guys. And then again, still give me your ideas. Still give me those ideas, because if you guys have anything you specifically want to see me try, or I could, work at to see if we can do that together, I am all for it. I will do my best to make sure I can try to get that done, whatever it is. That was, the cornucopia was somebody else's request. A couple people had requested me to do crochet, but those are extremely involved, guys. Crocheting, if you've ever worked with yarn, whether it's a knitting or crocheting, it's a labor of love. It takes time, it takes concentration. So a lot of times when I'm working on pieces and I'm out with my husband, we're watching TV, it's like, well, don't put anything on that I need to concentrate on, because it's really just glancing at it, but then you still have to keep track of your project. You're still counting, you're still trying to maintain certain aspects of it. So crocheting wouldn't really be something I don't think anybody wants to see live, just because if you're doing one stitch and you need to do 17 rows of one stitch, it's kind of really, it's like watching grass grow. You don't want to watch someone just sit there and crochet. But that's something we could always work on and see. What does it say? Connie says a snowman wreath. Let me look at that. I thought I had a wreath kit, but I don't. I can figure out some sort of snow. I mean, like a snowman face, or just like a snowman, like the three with the hat on the top. Try to figure something out for that. These are the guys I just picked off, and I'm trying to see if I want to just shove them down in the bow. I don't know if I like this or not. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to wrap it around a dowel. So basically I'm just holding this dowel piece. This is an old piece of dowel that I use for stirring glue. I'm going to take it and I'm going to wrap it around this dowel, just like that. So I'm holding it down here and I'm wrapping it around the dowel. and then you pull it off and you got a little curly Q. Can you guys see the little curly Q? And I'm going to see if I like this stuck into the piece better. Kind of. It's a little funky. I think I like that. So yeah. I'm going to wrap them around the dowel. Oh, either, Connie. So you're fine with either type of snowman. Okay. I'll work at that. See what I can plan out. Now again, if you guys didn't catch that. So here's the piece I pulled off of the pick. I'm going to hold it right here with the dowel and just start wrapping it around the dowel. Literally wrap it around the dowel and then pull it off. And then you got a little curly Q. Looks super cute stuffed in this bow. Yeah. I'm only going to put 3 in the bow, but it's super cute when they're stuffed in here like that. Because I'm also going to put berries in here too. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to glue up the end of this guy here. And I'm going to stick one of these little curly Qs that I made right down in the center of this other one that I glued on. So now that's glued to the red bow. And I'm going to take another one and glue it on the side. So I'm basically essentially just gluing all this stuff into the bow like crevices. So all these little crevices will be pretty solid. Now at this point, this is where I said before, you're not going to have to worry too much about pulling the bow or the loops changing because we're gluing into it, and the glue is basically hardening, and then it serves as another piece to secure. It serves as another way to secure the bow. I added this little ficus thing onto the side. So again, I stick berries, I stick leaves, I stick all kinds of things you could imagine. Jingle bells. Depending on what you're working on. I love placing all kinds of weird stuff just in the bow. So this is what if we've changed the bow just a little bit already by placing these little curly Qs in it, and then I put this this ficus in here. So you've got more pieces of bow behind it. And then I place these little curly Q guys in here. Might not show up too well on camera at first, but you guys will be able to see better pictures when I place the pictures online. Teresa. Oh, Teresa, you want me to hold it up again? So that's what we got so far. There's the toe beans. Merry Christmas sign. Still not done, but I'm almost there, guys. Almost there. I'm going to add these berries in. And then we'll see if we need to add any more extra little pieces of greenery. I'm going to just wrap these around and curly Q them and then place them in little pieces over here. I got 3 in the bow, and I'm going to put these other 3 pieces just sporadically around the wreath, just somewhere where it'll stick out enough to show a little tiny accent. And then on my other wreath, I put an extra little piece of, oh, thank you, Nancy. Thank you. Love it. Perfect. I added an extra piece of the same ribbon bow on the other side, but I don't want to do this on this one because I think this bow is big enough here, and I don't want to take away too much of it. So I want to keep this the way it is here. I'm going to kind of adjust this bow a little bit more because I have some sagging in the burlap, so I might put another piece of something right here to hold that up. And I'm going to have to make these a little bit shorter, these tails, because I don't want, again, the sign is beginning to get covered up, and that's what is concerning me. So I'm going to place another curly, I got 3 more curly Qs that I made out of those little pieces of like pine sprigs I pulled off of the other pick. I'm just going to kind of place that in there like that. All it is just taking the greenery that you like, the variation, gluing up the ends, and then placing them and sticking them in little tiny crevices and places where you think that you'd like to see a little bit of color or a little bit of texture popping out here and there. I put 3 on already. 1, 2. Where's my third one? Okay, guys. Oh, there it is. I was gonna say I thought I had a third one. So I want to place that there, but we'll see if this is the glue will allow it to go under there. it did. Perfect. All right, now this was my last piece I had on this pick, and I didn't think I was going to use it, but I am going to use it on the very bottom because I have my burlap bow is sagging a little bit on the inside. So I'm going to clip it off of here. And what I'm going to do is, the sagging is happening right here. This piece right here is sagging inward. It's falling into the wreath right here. I don't want it to fall in back behind. I want it to kind of stand up just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is test this out and see what it does. Just in there like that. Just to see if it's going to give me exactly what I'm looking for, or if it's going to make it look ridiculous. It actually pushes the bow too far outward. So let me try putting it over here on this side. I'm going to try sticking it over here on the opposite side. To see if this is going to fall this way or not. I'm not sure just yet. Okay, so I ended up putting it on the other side. I don't mind this side coming in a little bit because of the sign. I'm going to place it on the right side of the bow. So if you see here, this is how we're holding the wreath. This side was falling way flat on that side. So this piece you're seeing sticking out right here, that's holding my burlap forward. And that's again because the burlap is not wired. And you're seeing that falling because I didn't make the loop too big. I mean, you can make the loops too big and they will just naturally fall down, but that was falling too much for what I was happy with. So I'm going to take that and glue up the bottom of it pretty good. Okay, and then I'm going to place it right back down in there where I had it before. And really stick it down in there. I got a bunch of glue on my finger now. Alrighty. So there is, yeah, I'm much happier with the way that's sticking out that way. That's really good. And here's just where I'm going to fluff my bow. Actually, after this, I'm just going to be doing the berries, the red berries all over. And I think I'm pretty happy with the amount of greenery I have around the sides. It's just a little bit of change, a little bit of, tiny bit of color, nothing crazy. I'm making this tail over here a little bit shorter. So you can see more of this burlap popping through down here. This one I'll probably leave this way, but I'm probably going to make this shorter as well. I don't want it to cut. I want to cut too much off, but I don't want it to cover up too much of the sign. So it just sticks out just like that. That's perfect. So that's what we're working with so far. I made these tails a little shorter. I got most of my greenery. I'm very happy with all the greenery I have in here. So now all I'm going to do is add berries, and we'll be done. So these berry picks here are really easy. Helen, any chance of getting one of those in time for Christmas? Well, it depends on where you live and what shipping you do. I mean, I'm going to have this listed either tonight or tomorrow, and I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada, so if it's 5 to 7 days or 7 to 10 days, it should be fine, but I don't know if you need it for a gift. Probably. If you need it for decorating for the year, I'm not absolutely sure, because it won't be up very long. But I'm also going to make some that are non-Christmas themed with that other sign I bought. Because, you know, these paw prints are really cute. They're year-round. They're really festive for any kind of year. So what I do after... These picks I bought at Hobby Lobby. These berry picks. There were... $1.59 regular price. I did not write on here how much I got them for, but obviously even $1.59 is not bad. I'm pretty sure I got them half off. So basically all I do after I pull the tag off is if you hold the base of it and you pull the base this way, you can pull this guy right off of the stick. And then there you've got your piece. I probably cut them off like right about there because this right here is just a little bit too much. But that's basically how I do that with these. And I just basically pull them all off and just keep pulling them off. And then this top one will eventually come off somewhere, but there we go. You just have to find the top of it and get it to work itself off of there. There we go. And so then you're left with this wire stick. Again, you can save it if you want. All kinds of extra goodies and ideas come from those. So I just basically am cutting off these end pieces here. And then here's where I'm going to add berries to the bow. I'm going to add berries as accents around the piece where all the greenery is. That's part of the best thing about Christmas wreaths is basically you can decorate with berries on everything. Berries add just a perfect little extra pop of color that you definitely wouldn't have thought that you needed until you see it. When I made the snowflake wreath back here, this rustic one here, I had berries in it, but I was like, well, let me see about adding cotton. And then if you guys were with me on that Facebook Live, I wasn't sure about putting the cotton in it. And then you guys said, yeah, add the cotton. And the cotton added just enough of that extra little pop of color, even though it was just white cotton. It really took the wreath over the top. So again, that's why I'm very glad we can do Facebook Lives and I can have you guys with me while I create. Let me see, this one's not going to go in where I want it to because I have so much glue here. And this is also, I'm trying to place it also where I have wired the little toe pads to the big pid of the wreath. So I'm trying to find another spot to where I can pop these berries in that they'll still show. Alright, so I think I found a good spot on the side here. Still wanted some on top. I might have to find another way to get those in there because that's where I really like them. And I got 3 of those sticks of berries, so I may be able to just to place them on top of things. Not absolutely sure because this is going through here but not down under here. And I really want the berries to be like right here. Okay, so I'm going to cut this guy shorter. Actually, I'm going to bend it is what I'm going to do. Because I'm going to have to glue it. I'll show you what I want to do. Right here, it's giving me a little bit of a problem with this piece here. I got a good amount of stuff glued under here already. If you can see in the back here. There's hot glue in here and there's dried hot glue down in here. So I can't put my pick down into the wreath. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed it up underneath this piece right here, this bigger piece here, because there is a gap there. So I'm going to use this, I'm going to turn it under to give it more surface area for glue to hold. And then the glue will hold on more underneath that piece there. And it's shorter so I can just get that to, because I really want berries to stick out right there. I really think it looks cute. And it also hides some of that glue that you could see from before. So let's see if this works, guys. It's one of those things where it's a challenge and I want to see if I win. And it worked. It worked really well. So turning that little loop, turning the stem under into a loop, really worked well with the berries as far as being able to hold it in. So basically I won. You see now I've got the berries in there. If you can take a peek, you really can't see glue at all. So there's not a big like bunch of glob of clear hot glue sticking out. I'm sorry guys, my nose is running. I have to wipe that. I got through so far without a cold. My husband has a cold, but my allergies are not treating me well. Oh, okay, Helen, your daughter-in-law needs it. Really needs a paw print wreath right now. Perfect. You're in Delaware. Well, when I get it up on Etsy, take a peek. If you don't follow my Etsy shop, you'll get notified when I add things if you follow or favorite my Etsy shop. And you'll see as soon as I list something, you can take a peek in there and see how long the shipping options are. Unfortunately, some of those shipping options are crazy, and I just don't know if anybody would want to pay for that kind of shipping. But everybody has their limits on shipping. I do, but depending on how badly I want something, I have been known to pay a good amount for shipping. Especially since some of these things are one of a kind. These little signs and stuff, they're one of a kind. You don't see that stuff locally. At least where I'm at, I don't see it locally. So those are things you can get year-round. Not really. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But take a look. I'll post it on Facebook once I have it listed. Say, hey guys, check out this Etsy listing, and then you could put things in there. If you want, I can make a custom piece. You can just request a custom. You can request a custom order off of Etsy, and I can create a listing, and I can make a custom piece for you. I don't have any more signs at all. That's the only problem. So if you wanted one with a sign, it wouldn't happen because these guys actually have to hand make the sign, and it takes them. I ordered these early in November, so it takes them about 5 to 7. I think it was 7 to 9 business days for me to get this from them. So the signs wouldn't happen. So this sign, after this guy's listed on Etsy, this is going to be probably the last Merry Christmas paw print for this season or this year. I'm definitely going to order more from them because it's a very great shop. All of their signs are really good quality. Very, very happy with the work. But for this season, this one's probably going to end up being the last one with the Merry Christmas sign on it. At least in time for this year. Definitely have no problem making more of these. Just don't know how popular they're going to be after, after the season is done. And I never glued that back on. You see that right here? I never glued that in. I'm going to put glue on this with this guy. I want this one to get a really good, secure hold down in there, like that. Okay. So that was one berry pick. I'm definitely going to add at least one more. If you can see here, here's all the berries popping out of there. I put one in the bow. I'm going to put more in. And then I've got 2 coming up out here. So I bought 3 berry picks, but I'm only going to use 2. So even at $1.59 each, it's not a lot. And I know I didn't pay full price. I don't think I've ever paid full price for any kinds of berry picks or any kinds of picks. At least the holiday picks and stuff at Hobby Lobby, I've never paid full price. They're always on sale. Even when they first put the stuff out for the season, they don't do that stuff. Hey guys, thanks for the hearts. I love seeing that. Thank you so much. It's so nice. So almost done, guys. I'm definitely going to add all of these berries in, because you can never have too many little cute pops of red coming through the project. Roseanne, you're going to make one yourself. When you do, send me a picture. I'd love to see it. I love to see everybody's ideas. I like to see where you've changed things up a little bit. Like if you got, what ribbon combinations you guys go with. I love to see how things are a little different. I can't remember the name right now, but a lovely lady sent me a picture on my Facebook page of a wreath she made after she watched me do the rustic snowflake wreath right here. And she used a lot of different, like, frosted greenery, and the bow was just gorgeous. It was just a different spin on the same thing, and with her own creativity, it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. I love to see the stuff you guys make. So please, never feel shy or afraid or anything like that, apprehensive. Send me pictures. I love to see the stuff everybody makes. That is the best part of crafting with each other, is we get to see everybody else's creations and what we've all come up with separately. I absolutely love it. Now I'm just, again, gluing up the bottoms of these berries after I've pulled them off. Put glue on there, and I'm stuffing these down into the creases and the crevices of the bow. And then that's going to stick all the ribbon together. So, I mean, if you're worried about not having that secure twist on that bow, worry no longer. Now, see, I don't think this is going to show because, well, yeah, it does show. It shows a little bit. Let me see if I can even get this in where I'm thinking I'm going to put it in at. No? It's a little bit. We'll see if it shows too much. Sometimes you'll have things that once you put it on the door, you can't see it at all. But at some point, there'll be a different angle, or you might have that, you know, 6'7" friend that comes in that can actually see it because they're so tall. Just trying to work things in here, see where I like them at. Oh, thanks, Nancy. I love doing them. I like having you guys with me. I appreciate that. I still get concerned about the length of time. But I myself previously, you know, when I'd watch other people's YouTube videos and lives, I would come across times where I get hung up on something that happened that I didn't really get to see them work through. And I think a lot of times that helps with confusion. Like what I'm doing now is I'm cutting off these pieces of the wreath that have come apart, and they're now starting to get in the way of the actual construction. So I just cut those pieces off. Let me just peek at one other thing and see if I need to add this stuff in here. I'm going to do that. These are little extra pieces that I cut off of a spare garland that I bought on clearance last year. I'll show you guys what I've done. This was a 9-foot garland. It kind of looks long now, but if you can see here, this is where I've been cutting the pieces off of it. I literally just take my clippers and I cut these pieces off of it. And that's a lot of what I used for those mouse wreaths. And what I'm using here now is accents also. So I've also taken them, and the same thing I did earlier is I tapered the edges. So I took my scissors and I cut down on each end, here and here, and all around. Do that over your trash can because it is very messy. And I've made them all into little tapered pieces. And these are perfect for filler, for extra little tiny spaces and gaps, and then also to place them in if you want to hide a pipe cleaner, if you want to hide some stuff that you kind of don't want anyone to see. And Denise, thank you. Yes, absolutely. This is what I was saying. I'm going to definitely make some more paw print wreaths, but I'm not sure if you were here earlier, Denise. Check out this sign. This would be for not holiday. This would be just for an everyday thing. It says love is a 4-legged word. I know Facebook probably flipped that backwards, but it says love is a 4-legged word. And you could do all kinds of grays with like a quarter, is it called quarterfoil? That pad, there's a really pretty pattern of ribbon. And you could just do all kinds of like lime greenery with it, all kinds of everyday stuff. Because tell me, paw prints aren't in style or aren't loved just at Christmas, but all year round. All year round. But Christmas is also the best time to get some of these cute little, you know, paw print type ornament things that you can place on the wreath if you don't have a sign. You could always put those things on there. I got those at Michael's. So I'm going to place a couple of these just here and there around. I'm going to fill a space I'm looking at in my bow right here. Just right down in there. It makes your bow fuller. It makes things look a little poofier. Not everybody wants that, but I do. And since I'm making it, I want. Right? That works. I mean, yes, I got to keep in mind who you're making it for. Not everything is going to be my taste or my preference, but I'd like to believe a little bit of what you do is in everything you make. So at some point, whether you're happy with your piece or not, someone else is going to love it. Okay. I got one more berry pick I'm going to put in here, guys, and I think I'm done. I'm going to hold it up and I'll ask everyone's opinion. And see what you guys think, and you can let me know if I need to add more berries or if I need to add more greenery. I'm pretty sure I don't want to put any more berries here in the bow area, but you guys let me know. I got one more to place, and of course I absolutely have to make sure it's in the wreath somewhere because I'm not gonna I'm trying to keep everything also in a what is this, clockwise? This is clockwise, isn't it? Okay, this is I did counterclockwise on this. So whatever direction you pick, try to stay in that direction around the whole wreath. It might not seem like it at the beginning, but by the time you're done with the wreath, you will see that your pattern goes all the way around. Now, when in the bow area, obviously that's going every direction that the bow is, but everything else on this wreath is trying basically to go the same way. This berry, I am having such a hard... I wanted to place it right here. I've got nothing to place it into, honestly, without it sticking literally straight in the air. And this is also where I wired a lot of it together, so I don't think I have the space for it. I mean, I got that right there. I think, yeah, I'll do that right here. I don't know how much of it's going to actually get stuck in the glue, so I'm going to have to get my glue gun and shoot a bunch of glue down in there and let gravity do some of the work for me. We'll see how this works out. So I got it kind of propped up in there, and I'm going to use my glue gun here. And this is on the highest setting, so this glue gun is like super burn your skin off hot, because I've done that with it twice. And then I'll let that sit there and dry and see. So that, I'm pretty sure I'm done. But I'm going to hold it up real quick and ask you guys what you think. And we'll go from there. So let's see. Vicki loves it, perfect. And Tina, I have great ideas. Thank you so much. Cutting garlands for the greenery. I bought 2 garlands at Michael's when they were 70% off and sat watching TV cutting them apart. Perfect, Connie, perfect. That's so awesome, because basically 70% off as opposed to buying these picks. Like, depending on, like, if you're buying these picks because you need them for pieces, some of them have a little bit of different greenery on them. See, like this is a little different here, and that's a little different there. But if you're using those garlands, that's perfect. And I didn't even think about that until maybe a couple months ago. And when I knew I had those garlands, those garlands were normally, I think $9.99. I got them for like $1.80 last year on clearance because there were so many 9-foot garlands. And I kept a couple because I'm going to make garlands for different projects, but I used at least 2 of them as pieces. And yes, I mean, I sat here, I had my bucket in front of me, and I'm cutting them off, and you cut them at a taper, and they look perfect, and they look really good, just like those other more expensive picks. Then you don't really have to worry about buying all that stuff. So I'm very happy to hear that. That's so cool, Connie. Sorry if I got a little excited about that. All right, let me show you guys really quick what I got here. And thanks for the hearts, guys. I love to see those hearts coming across the page. I love that. Tina says, beautiful. Roseanne, you have a few I used to fill spaces on my headstone huggers. Yes, that's actually a good one too. Evergreen is good for a lot of stuff during the year, even outside of Christmas. I've seen lots of fall wreaths and other types of wreaths. I've used an evergreen wreath for a 4th of July wreath. For anything else like that, it's really good space filler, and it also gives you a lot to have things hold on to. You can glue anything into it. Well, the wreath that even my snowflake wreath here, I added so much greenery into that you can barely see the evergreen base. And again, those aren't pretty when you buy them in the store. They're all smashed, and they're just really not that cute by themselves. I just added different greenery all around it to where you almost couldn't see it. So you can use those year round. That's also a very good idea. I love that. That's a good idea, Roseanne. And let's see. Okay, guys, so here is my end product. This is what we have to finish. I don't want to add too much more because then maybe you can still see, if you can see here in the middle, you still have that paw print look here. Here's the little 4 little toe beans. And then our wreath, our bow. I cut this tail a lot shorter because remember I said before, it was covering up too much of the sign. You can move it left or right. I just kind of wanted it to stick out and be just like a cute little tassel says hi. Everything else like that. This is what we're working with. So here's the side of the bow. Here's the sides. Not too much going on the sides, but you know, once it's up against your door or your wall, you're not really going to see too much of it. I designed it because I wanted these to be kind of off on the corner. So if you want to hang the sign straight up. I did previously think I was going to put the sign at a diagonal, but I don't know if I like that. But it's up to you. If you purchase a wreath and you want to hang it a different way than the artist intended, then go for it, because everybody's taste and creative style is different. So I like the little pids to be kind of off to the side and the sign to be straight. But either or works. It works. It looks good like that too. So that's it. What do you guys think? Do you think I should add anything else to it? Oh, I'm getting hearts. I love that. Thank you so much. I love that. Gorgeous. Oh, you're welcome, Roseanne. I love doing this with you guys. It's so much fun. And absolutely gorgeous. All right, perfect, guys. So keep suggestions and requests coming. I'm going to look into snowman wreath, see if you guys want to see something like that. I'm going to look into that, see what I have to get. Other than that, I'm just going to continue on doing these things. Hopefully, if I get more time and I get more shares and more attention, more support for my pages, I'll be able to do some more lives, maybe more than once a week. Also, you guys keep taking a peek at my Etsy shop, share things for me, whatever you can do. It's like my little online tip jar. I appreciate all you guys being with me every day, or every time. A lot of interaction on my pages. It feels like I have like extra little family and friends. It's so much fun to be able to do this with other crafters. So thanks again so much. You guys have a great day. Oh, Cynthia, don't worry about missing this. In about 5 seconds or however long it takes, Facebook will repost it. And then in about an hour or two, I will have it uploaded to YouTube, so you can pause and do all that stuff on YouTube. I'll have some links in there too for everything. So don't worry about it. We'll have it, and you'll be able to watch it again. So keep up the messages, keep up the comments, and the likes and the shares. I appreciate everything from you guys, and I'll see you next time. So take care, guys.